Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. And I guess this is a great day today, especially because we are actually celebrating. What could that probably be, Sir Alvin?
Okay, and that is the Teachers Day. So, hello there to all our teachers all over the Philippines. Our dear participants, why don't you greet, okay, our teachers a happy Teachers Day?
That's right. They can actually interact with us. And if in case they wanted to shout out their teachers in the comment section, they can do that by leaving or interacting in the comment section down below. And of course, Tutor Alvin, today is going to be a fantastic day because we will be welcoming a new topic today for week number 4. All right, so shall we present our screens, Alvin?
Yeah, for sure. So, again, since it's Teachers Day, so I hope everyone will enjoy in our session for today. Okay, so for this week, to the Nova, we'll be talking about the um, examining sample oral communication activities, right?
Right. And we will be giving different tips on how to actually scrutinize or examine sample oral communication activities for today, Sir Alvin.
That's
That's going to
correct.
be a full blast discussion today.
Yes. So our goals or our targets for sessions for this session are first define and exemplify verbal and nonverbal communication. How about the second one, Peter Nova?
Second one, of course, we need to determine the verbal and nonverbal cues that a speaker uses.
And lastly, we have to evaluate the effectiveness of an oral communication activity.
Well, that's
So
right, Sir Alvin. It's a great thing that we wanted to let our students know our targets or goals today, especially that now classes are actually done virtually. And I think having oral communication activities are still very important because we wanted to step up the game when it comes to speaking, right? Well, some of
right.
the students, their weaknesses might be something to do with speaking in front of everyone or perhaps delivering a certain kind of speech, right? So we are here to also guide them along the way.
That's right. Because we all know that to be a better speaker, you have also be a good listener, right? That's why in this
Bingo.
session, okay, you'll be listening, you'll be watching to some samples of oral communication activities that will inspire you, that will challenge you if you're going to imitate that or you're going to improve that the next time you perform your own speech. All right. So, but before we move on to Carnova on our next session, let's have first a recap of what we have talked or what we
That's
have
right.
discussed last minute. So we talked about definitely the strategies to avoid communication breakdown. So we define communication breakdown as a failure to exchange information. That's why you have the lack of communication or miscommunication. And
Communication.
that is
That's right.
because of,
Communication barriers.
yeah, okay. So, and we enumerated some examples or categories of communication barriers, which are, Supernova, can you
First
give
one
those?
is actually the physical barriers. Of course, those might be about the external factors. And the second one is what we call the psychological barriers, which means to say something to do within you. Now, the next one is what we call the cultural barriers. And the last one, of course, Sir Alvin, is what we call the linguistic barrier. So I
Yeah,
think our students on the comment section already know about the different barriers that because we have discussed that on the week number 3. And of course, since we have barriers, we also presented last time the different ways on how to actually have an effective communication by introducing the different C's.
yeah, of effective communication. So first we have the completeness, conciseness, consideration, concreteness, courtesy, clearness, and correctness.
Correctness.
Okay. So, ayan. So, hello to Reasonable Krista. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Let's have read first comments. I think, Supernova, you have checked Pilio. Good afternoon. Um, from 12 Yums Moses of Bepuran
Right.
High School.
And I also want to say hi to all of my students, Sir Alvin, who are watching with us, and they're actually interacting on the comment section. And earlier, we just celebrated our virtual Teachers' Day, and they were also very interactive right there. And for sure, they are actually wishing all of the teachers here on the comment section a happy Teachers' Day. So, Sir Alvin, from the bottom of our hearts, from DepEd Bogo City Division, happy Teachers' Day all the way to SDO Pampanga.
Yeah, and let's return the greetings. So from SDO Pampanga, okay, especially from my students at Santa Maria National High School, Macabebe, and all the schools in the division of Pampanga, we would like to greet all the teachers from Bogo City, a happy Teachers Day, right? So
Right.
um, before we have our next lesson, so we prepared, okay, a simple quiz that will somehow okay,
Wow.
refresh
Oops,
everyone
na-show ata.
about,
Na-show ata
okay,
yung answer, sir.
yeah, too
Okay lang
excited,
yan.
all right.
A clue. Well, I know that the students can actually answer these questions perfectly, especially my students from City of Bogo Science and Arts Academy, because
Yeah,
well, they actually do advanced readings, Sir Alvin, and of course the Macabebe students too. So let's test their skills today, how far they've gone with their readings for week number 3. Let's begin with
yes.
number 1, Sir Alvin.
Okay, so how will you classify lack of confidence among the categories of communication barriers?
Would it be physical, psychological, cultural, or linguistic? What do you
Okay,
think does lack of confidence?
okay,
Okay.
so that is, yeah, that's right. So they answered psychological barrier. Okay, how about connotative and denotative meaning?
Denotative meaning.
Okay, so we see comments here, and this is Tutanova.
Indeed, it's linguistic barrier.
How about number three? Loud
Oh, it
party.
says loud party.
Yeah, okay.
Do you do parties, Alvin? Since it's Teacher's Day today?
Um, a lockdown party, ma'am, at home.
Wow, great.
Yeah, because you cannot go along with the crowd, then you can do virtual
Right.
party, I think. Okay, the loud party is considered as a physical barrier, considered as noise. Number four
Good
is
job.
Supernova.
Number
Okay,
4, what about different races? What do you think that fall under? Is it physical, psychological, cultural, or linguistic?
and the answer is okay. It's a
It's
cultural
cultural
barrier.
barrier,
And
since we're talking
lastly
about
is
races.
okay. And lastly, how about the poor lighting? Poor lighting. Okay, that's definitely can affect communication, right? If you cannot be seen by someone whom you communicate with, definitely
Yeah,
you'll be
right.
having a hard time to communicate one another. That's why
True.
I have
Especially now on virtual classes, or Alvin. So if we can't have a great lighting or like internet connection, there might be problems. So what could poor lighting be under?
okay, so we can consider it as a physical barrier because it belongs in our environment. Okay,
True.
so okay, so based on the comments, Nova, I see their active participation, and most of them got the 5 items correctly.
That's great. So, which means to say they have studied well their modules, and all of them actually refreshed what they have learned during the third week discussion with you, Sir Alvin. So,
Right?
it's a well
Well
done.
done, and way to go. So let
Yes,
us move
yes.
on now to our next session. So we're done with the week one functions, nature, and process of communication. And Supernova, we're also done with
Of course, we are now down to our fourth week, which is examining oral communication activities. So, this episode guide will also be a guide to our students so that they can also try to do advanced reading, just in case they're wondering what topic will be on the coming week. So, I hope they were able to, save a copy of our episode guide.
yeah, that's correct. So I want to greet also our students, or yeah, our students from San Matas National High School here in Pampanga. So say hello to them, Supernova, because
A
yeah,
happy Teacher's Day, everyone! Happy Teacher's Day! I hope they are with us here. So, oh, Oh, they are actually from watching from Gutat National High School, Florida Blanca. Hi,
Wow.
Cyril Garcia.
Okay, so these are the questions that we need to answer, okay, as we
Hmm.
go
All
along with
right.
our session. First is, what are the oral communication activities? Second, Supernova,
Why are proper and appropriate verbal and nonverbal cues important in oral communication?
and lastly, what are the vital considerations in examining and engaging on oral communication activities? So, let's go.
Let's get the ball rolling today. Okay.
So, we'll be showing two pictures here. So,
Okay.
yeah, what can you,
Ooh,
what's the similarity? Okay, what is the common denominator? Um,
there's a
in,
speaker.
yeah, yeah, definitely. There's a
What
speaker.
could be their observations? They can try to comment that here on our comment section. They can type that on the comment section. Well,
Yes.
as for me, Sir Alvin, by just looking at these two pictures, it's especially on the first picture, it's something I miss. Especially right now it's Teachers' Day, so we are looking back on our moments, and this is something I really miss to do.
Yeah, and I really
But
miss that too because actually, um, I'm the one who is on that picture.
oh
Yeah.
wow, Sir Alvin.
Okay. During our the face-to-face discussion way back then, and the picture on the right side is actually our principal giving an opening remarks to our
Ooh,
oral presenters of their researches. All right. So
great.
delivering a speech according to Rafael Ibay Nota, yeah, a speech. So there is what we call public speaking on this
Oh,
picture.
there's also public speaking,
Yeah.
right?
So
What
the question
could?
is,
Mm-hmm.
can we consider this as oral communication activities? Okay, since our subject is
Ooh,
oral communication, right?
right.
So the answer is definitely yes. Okay, these are samples of oral communication activities. But then, maybe you are asking, our participants are asking, so what? How can you say that a particular situation is a sample or an oral communication activity? So let us define oral communication. So oral communication is defined as the exchange of verbal messages with the employment of nonverbal cues, such as tone of voice, bodily actions, eye communication, and others. So let's put it in this way. We can say that an activity is a speech or oral communication when you're not only using using words, but also you are using nonverbal cues, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like a combination of both. And well, something just came up to my mind, Sir Alvin. You know, we can say something is like oral communication. I can compare it to love, right? So they say that in love, you just need to say or express love to someone by just words, just by verbal, right? But I think love is actually a combination of both. It should be expressed, but it should also be acted. So, oral
Yeah.
communication is like love, so that you will remember that. It's a combination of verbal and nonverbal cues.
Okay, that's a very good metaphor. Okay, I think yeah. So since our I think our students are professionally in love with their teachers, right?
Oh,
So verbal and nonverbal equals and those are equal to oral communication. You're not only saying the word but also acting,
using
okay?
gestures.
Yeah, using gestures. It's like, let's say, expressing your love. Maybe saying, I love you is not enough. Maybe there must be somewhat variation in your tone of voice, right? Maybe a sweetness
How you
style, a sweet
smile,
style.
how your eyes sparkle.
Correct. And that would be more effective when you combine verbal and non-verbal cues. And that is oral communication. And we can
Right.
say that an oral communication activity is any activity um,
That
which has
involves
the communication through verbal and non-verbal means. Okay,
bingo.
so Okay, examples are. Will you please give me examples? I want to read your comment. Yeah, your answers in the comment section. Will you please give me other? Will you please give us other sample oral communication activities? So some of our examples here are formal speech,
Formal
right?
speech.
Yeah, even extemporaneous speech.
I love this
Okay,
one. Extemporaneous speeches is my ultimate favorite when it comes to giving activities to my students.
yeah.
Let's have the
How about the
others.
other examples that I know
Hmm.
of? You have also.
Speech choir. Wow, I miss this. I miss witnessing kind of activities like these. Jazz chants, right? So I think our students might not be too familiar with jazz chants, but actually, jazz chants is done by a group, and they do chanting like "Hey, hey," and then the other person will say "Hey, hey," and then they just synchronize, and they also do
Yes.
some actions, and that's what makes it a jazz chant.
Okay, so it's somewhat delivering also speech, but in rhythmic.
It has a tone,
Okay,
right?
yeah, with the tone and in a rhythmic pattern. All right. So another
True.
examples we have the declamation. Okay,
Ooh,
uh,
it's
and
somehow
even
like a theatrical
yeah, and
oration,
even oration. Okay, or participating on an oratorical contest. And
right?
then
We also got here, Sir Alvin, on the comment section. Mark Platon also mentioned about spoken poetry as
yes,
one of the
also
examples for oral communication activities.
yes, that's right, Mark. And we have also the impromptu speech according to Jezreel Esbert Tumbaga, an example also of an
Right,
oral
bingo.
communication activity. But then, there is an example of an oral communication activity, particularly I think this is a speech, okay,
Hmm.
prepared by a certain lady. So let us watch, okay, and observe her performance, okay? So give us thumbs up and heart reaction in our comment section as to signify your readiness on watching our presentation. This is
Yeah,
speech
let's watch
presentation.
this.
Okay?
Good day, everyone. In this presentation, we look at the Philippine current states of lockdown, how communities have been affected, and what you can do to keep your child's educations going. Since the beginning of 2020, the impacts of COVID-19 have been felt all over the world. But as vaccines are distributed globally, we're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. One
Absolutely.
year
And
after
participants,
rigorous
okay,
lockdown,
participants, you may post your comments, all right, your
precautions were
observations, so that
instituted.
we can already read it.
The Philippines began rolling out the vaccination across the
What can you
country.
say on her performance?
Over 1.7 million Filipinos have now received their first dosage of the vaccine, um, which is a fantastic symbol of hope following the country's terrible year. However, since the number of illnesses continues to climb, a new lockdown have been implemented. In this session, we look at the current COVID-19 scenario in the Philippines, some success stories and bad consequences of lockdown, and how education has been impacted. Finally, we'll discuss ways to support your children or students who are enrolled in distance school. Thank you for watching. God bless us all.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Sir Alvin. Credits to your student. She's actually looking pretty fabulous. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, Sir Alvin, before we have shown that video, we actually gave a heads up to our students that they need to observe or examine that video. So I think some of
Okay.
them actually commented on the comment section. Should we read some?
Yeah, so according to Giancarlo, she's just reading her speech. How
Okay. And of
about
course,
you?
we can also see here, Sir Alvin, some of them said, according to Mark, use hand gestures and look at the audience. And of course, we also got here another observation from Stephanie. She said, inappropriate gestures. And we also got here from Daniela Denise. She said that the speaker seems to be not ready. And we also got here another observation from um, Marvin Lackup. He said there is also unnecessary actions and no
Yeah, and
proper eye
even
contact, according
okay,
to
and even
Precious.
precious, yeah, termites. So no proper eye contact. And I think we too have the same observation, right, Nova, on our
Well,
in this presentation.
Well, yes, Sir Alvin. I must say that the speaker, although she's actually looking pretty confident, but then somehow in her speech, the other way around was projecting. It seemed more like a manuscript delivery, wherein the speaker is actually holding a script, and that's what she did earlier. And of course, since the speaker is actually looking at her manuscript, it did not really have a connection to the audience. And I think
Right.
our students were able to spot on that. And because
And
our speaker there, Sir Alvin, was holding a manuscript, she cannot really use hand gestures. So she
that's
lacked
right.
connection to the audience.
Okay, and that's very amazing because our participants can spot, all right, those things or
Wow.
those errors that this lady, okay, has done, and that means they know what's the right thing to do. I think.
That's right. That's right. Because the tendency is that if you know how to spot on something that's not really ideal when it comes to delivering speeches, that means to say you yourself can actually apply it when you deliver your own speeches. Quite
That's
amazing.
right. So in this, let's talk about now the two key terms in an oral communication activity, the verbal and non-verbal, so that we can somehow improve, okay? What are the things needed to be considered when engaging in a verbal communication and even non-verbal cues? So let's begin first, I think, with the verbal communication. So verbal communication is very easy to understood, okay? To understand. It's a communication using words, okay? Using words. So in verbal communication, where can we use words? When we are speaking, right? We use words, and we call that spoken communication. Okay? In what are the other way of using words that are Nova? It can also be
Of
through,
course, it could also be written communication. It's through
yeah.
writing, of course.
But since we're talking about oral communication, we'll be focusing more on the speaking side, okay, of using words.
Right.
Now, words are very powerful, isn't it?
It is
So,
powerful.
yeah, when we're using it, I think in communication, in formal speech, or in any public speaking activity, we have to consider certain aspects or certain things. And these are what we call the aspects to consider in verbal communication.
And
So,
I think, Sir Alvin, our students right here should also take note of the different aspects if they wanted to be a great speaker, especially because, in this lockdown class or like virtual classes, speaking skill might be taken for granted, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but probably. So, of course, they can take note of these aspects to consider so that they can level up their speaking skill.
that's right. So let's begin first. Okay, you need to consider first is the, of course, the appropriateness. Okay, what does it mean? It refers to the use of suitable language form applicable to the nature of the event or context of situation, whether formal or informal, of course. The words that we're going to use, our dear participants, must be suitable, must be appropriate, or must fit, okay, the context. Where you speaking at? The environment, the situation, and even the occasion. Should I
True.
use formal words or informal language? You need to consider that. That's number one, appropriateness. Okay?
True.
So, how about the second
And
one? Tutor,
okay,
yeah, Tutor Nova.
well, appropriateness, they should also try to analyze who their audience are. Because the moment that you know who will be witnessing or who will you will be delivering your speech, perhaps, of course, it will make your speech even better when it comes to crafting your speech. So you are appropriate for that certain event because you know who your audience are. And number
Yeah,
two,
that's
Sir Alvin,
right. So, number two is,
brevity. So, speakers frequently opt to use simple and precise words in delivering their message. Now, this is brevity. It can be achieved by using more direct and clear words and avoiding beating around the bush. It is saying more with less words. So, somehow, Sir Alvin, maybe some of our audience or our students right here might have attended some speeches before, and then maybe he or she might have encountered a certain speaker that yung para hindi direct when it comes to expressing his or her point. So that's the thing about not knowing what will be the aspect to consider when it comes to verbal communication. You need to be direct and clear about a certain thing that you really wanted to express or include in your speech.
Yeah, that's right. At hindi natin hawak yung oras ng ating mga audience. Diba? Mali natin may mga ginagawa pala yan. That's
Paligoy-ligoy,
why
right?
it's possible walang paligoy-ligoy.
Yeah,
Okay?
well, the tendency to that, Sir Alvin, is that if you are not actually prepared, fail to prepare, you should be prepared to fail. So, as a speaker or as a person that needs to deliver something when it comes to speeches, you really need to prepare beforehand so that you will be on point, simple and precise, and of course direct and clear with your words. It's a matter of preparation for you to achieve brevity.
Okay. Let's move on to the next. The third aspect to consider is, of course, clarity. So clarity is the meanings of words, the feelings or ideas may be interpreted differently by a listener, right? So hence, it is essential for you to clearly state your message and express your ideas and feelings. So in the clarity, we're avoiding double meaning. So you have to make
True.
sure, yeah, what we are saying is clear enough. It is what the thing or the idea you want to express is definitely or directly understood,
Stated. Yeah.
yeah, or stated by you to your listeners, because as much as possible you don't want to cause misconfusion. I sorry confusion rather. Okay, and you don't want to, of course, the what we call the miscommunication because of
Hmm.
some unclear messages.
Okay. Now let's go to the fourth one, Sir Alvin. The fourth aspect to consider is about ethics. So, for ethics, words should be carefully chosen in consideration of the gender, roles, ethnicity, preferences, and status of the person or people you are talking to. Like, say, for example, Sir Alvin, if you are actually invited to deliver something na medyo, say, for example, you are actually invited to a Muslim activity and you need to deliver an inspirational message to them, but you yourself is anti in that certain culture that they have. You should be careful not to include that because you are tasked to deliver a certain inspirational speech to them, but then there's something that in their culture that you are not agreeing on. So there's no need for you to actually highlight that. So do not include that because it's disrespectful. So ethics
Yeah,
is actually respecting a certain
respect.
culture,
That's
gender,
right.
roles, ethnicity, preferences. So our audience or our viewers or our students should just remember ethics has something to do about respecting a culture.
Respect.
So
Okay.
always consider that in verbal
Yeah, in
communication.
connection to respect, of course, and ethics also, you have to respect also um, our source when we are writing our speech. And that's
Oh,
one ethical
true.
consideration in writing
Mm, mm.
academically. Okay, and even
That's right,
speaking
Sir Alvin.
academically, you should avoid plagiarism. Okay, make
That's right,
sure
Sir
everything
Alvin.
is cited. No,
Citations, right?
yeah. So
Some
remember
of our
that at the
students
end.
might miss out on that. So it's good, Sir Alvin, that you were able to highlight that
Yeah,
because
it's
ethics in your work and your academics. If it's not coming from you, then the best thing that to respect the work of others, it's actually by citations.
yes, okay, because definitely on the second quarter you'll be writing your speech. Of course, that you need ideas from other sources to strengthen your point. That would be okay as long as you cite your sources. Okay, so
True.
let's move on to the last consideration. This is vividness. Let me have this. Words that vividly or creatively describe things or feelings usually add color and spice to communication. Hence, you are encouraged to find ways to charm your audience through the use of vivid words. So right after you have written your speech, it's now time to add some embellishments, something like that, and not literal decorations, but then you want your speech, the words that you're going to use to be catchy. right? To be captivating when you
Yeah,
utter
right.
it among
Attracted to the
your,
audience's
yeah,
ears.
okay. So this is what we call the hook. Okay, make sure when you're speaking, there is what we call that hook. So you would be
Something
you
interesting, as what
right.
Daniela Denise here is mentioning on the comment section, vividness has something to do about making your communication, your verbal communication, something interesting. And as what Jezreel also added, that it's something about using words that are going to capture the one you are talking to.
Okay.
Captivating words.
Yeah, that's right. So those are the aspects, and that's about verbal communication. Just remember the five aspects, and I
All
think let's
right.
move on to the nonverbal communication. So to know about what do we mean by nonverbal communication?
Nonverbal communication is referring to an interaction where behavior is used to convey and represent meanings. All kinds of human responses that are not expressed in words are classified as nonverbal communication. And I think our students already know about this. If it's nonverbal, it's something to do with no words. So it's
Yeah,
about
no
behavior
words,
or actions. Just
actions,
remember
and
the
even the
keywords.
presentation of things, right?
Right.
So some examples definitely. First, the kinesics, the use of body, the hand
Hand
gestures,
gestures.
right? The facial expressions.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah,
made me remember about a thing, Sir Alvin. Diba, as a student, when we are actually spending a lot more time with our teachers, somehow we do copy some of the, nonverbal cues of our teachers, or what we call yung mannerism of our teachers. Meron teachers, diba, na when they discuss, they do a lot of this one, their
yeah.
hand gestures, and my mga teachers then are like theatrical. They have really expressive faces, and some teachers do stand up for the rest of the lesson. So, our teachers are like that. And we are actually unique in our own ways. And we do stand out sa students natin if we have this uniqueness in us, right? So, nonverbal communication, kinesics, our teachers are very pro at this.
Yeah, so legit nonverbal communicators. Okay, so we have also the head movement, okay,
Yeah.
and the eye movement, and even the
Oh,
way you sit and the way you
uh-huh.
stand, of course.
Mm,
So another examples of nonverbal communication is, of course, your attitude or your behavior for the certain situation. You have
right.
also, of course, your appearance or your
Manner or
manner of
dressing.
dressing,
Manner of
and
dressing,
of
right.
course, the tone of voice, right?
Mm,
Because it communicates already something. The way you speak, okay, the
yeah, yeah. Well,
example,
it matters, right? Like earlier, Sir Alvin, we actually had our virtual Teachers Day celebration, and if someone is camera shy, minsan nami-misinterpret nung kausap, right, Sir Alvin? Kanina parang may napansin ako, may student na medyo camera shy, tapos nag-reach siya sa teacher niya, tapos sabi niya lang, Happy Teachers Day, sir. Love you, sir. Something like that. So,
uh,
it's a kind of very astig, but then, kung ikaw teacher, parang ma-misinterpret mo na
yeah,
parang galit ba
parang
siya? Something like
hindi
that.
mo
So,
feel, right? So
right,
maybe
right. So, minsan, yung
a
tone of
certain
voice.
a certain word need a certain tone of voice to be applied or speaking that
True.
word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now there are some, yeah. Let's enumerate the importance of nonverbal communication. So first is it enhances and emphasizes the message of your speech, thus making it more meaningful, truthful, and relevant. It's right because it's not enough na nagsalita ka lang, hindi pwede sapat na words lang. Dapat you should be animated. What do I mean when I say animated? You're moving, okay? You do certain actions. There are some variations on your facial expression, making your speech more dynamic and lively. How about number two?
Of course, number two, the importance of nonverbal communication is that it can communicate feelings, attitudes, and perceptions without you saying a word. It's like just the basic eye contact can actually express a lot of things. It's actually the window to our souls, Sir Alvin. So just when you wanted to express how you admire someone, so by just looking at them, it means a thing.
Yes, number three is it can sustain the attention of listeners and keep them engaged in the speech. Okay, because if you're just speaking there, hello everyone, that's not enough. I think this hello everyone, you make your speech more lively, so that
Animated, right.
you can captivate the attention of your listeners. Number four,
The fourth one is that it gives the audience a preview to the type of speaker you are, right? So, Minsan, how you present yourself is actually your visual aid. So, if your viewers or someone you are talking to can really see how interested you are in what you are talking about, it also makes them interested and would really stay. Until he or she can hear about what you're going to say. So, if you are going to say it in an interesting way, well then your the person you're talking to will also be interested in you.
okay, the next importance is it makes you appear more dynamic and animated in your delivery. It's what we're talking about a while back now, Supernova, because when you're using nonverbal cues, you look more animated, dynamic, and it's somewhat not dull, okay, and monotonous, okay, because
Mm,
you're using a lot of variety of tone, okay, how you express yourself, the gestures, okay,
mm, right.
it's more attractive.
Bingo. Okay, so now the number six, or Alvin, the sixth importance is it serves as a channel to release tension and nervousness. Well, I always advise my students, or even the students that I do coach when it comes to public speaking delivery, is that I always tell them to smile. When they deliver something and they are smiling, it will make it more engaging, and the nervousness is actually hidden by your smile. So I always tell them to release the tension or nervousness by actually having a nonverbal communication, which is by smiling.
By
That's it.
smiling, yeah, and even moving to avoid stiffness, because sometimes when our
Yeah,
students are
true.
when
Mm,
they're talking, they seem to be stuck or okay on their
yeah,
phrases. So
and
I'm
it would
also
seem like they're
suggesting them,
not confident if they
yeah,
are
why don't
actually
you
stiff.
move, okay? Why don't you move, okay? Go over your area there and confidently
Own
speak,
the stage when you're actually going to present something. Own it. It's your time to shine. So you got to release attention there by being confident.
okay? Number seven, it helps make your speech more dramatic. Of course, when you are, of course, drama. You're acting. Definitely, you cannot do drama or you cannot make your speech more dramatic if you're not moving. So non-verbal cues are important, right?
And number eight, Ralvin, is that it can build a connection with listeners. I think we have been reiterating this, that verbal communication is actually effective, but it will be more effective if it is partnered by a nonverbal communication cue. So that is building connection with listeners. Number nine, Sir Alvin.
Right? It makes you a credible speaker. Our best speaker are not just those people who are talking um, with words alone. They move, okay? When they are when the content, yeah, when the contention of their speech um, is somewhat happy in tone, they're smiling when they're delivering it, right? When they're mad, you can see that in their faces, okay?
Yeah.
When they're serious, very focused on what you're saying, you can see their faces, okay? The way they speak, it very
Mm,
they seem to be very reliable, very credible, and of course, they're most respected.
that's right. All right.
And
So the last one, Sir Alvin, I suppose, it helps you vary your speaking style and avoid a monotonous delivery. So it is very essential that when you do your speeches or when you communicate to someone, the tendency is that you do that in a monotone. What do we mean by being monotonous? It's actually maintaining a certain tone all throughout from the beginning until the end. And you can actually try to prevent that or avoiding that by actually incorporating a non-verbal cue, which is like maybe a hand gesture. When you do like that, your voice also raises. So when you do that, and then your voice also raise, right? So it could help you, um, you know, prevent something from being monotonous. So you can try to incorporate that.
hey, and those are the importance. And aside
There are
from
a
those, and
lot more.
there are a lot of more, there are a lot of reasons. Okay, why do you need to use non-verbal cues when you are speaking?
Yeah.
So, after having those, let's watch. Okay, again. Okay,
Oh,
maybe
right. By the way, Sir Alvin, since our students already knew the different aspects or importance of actually applying nonverbal communication, and also they already knew about verbal communication, so earlier they have watched the first presentation. Now I
Yeah.
think they can scrutinize more this next video presentation, because we were able to give them the different aspects to consider in nonverbal communication. So
Yeah, and I
take it
think
away.
that lady a while back, Supernova, was also watching, okay, with our
Oh
participants.
my! It's an honor. It's an honor that she
Yeah,
is watching with us. Can you mention her name, Sir Alvin?
okay, so she is Menzi, okay, Menzi Love Cerelos, okay, all
Hi,
from Hunger
Menzi. Oh,
Colleges.
we appreciate her so much.
Yeah,
Because the way she stood up for herself, and of course the way she prepared for it, that's highly commendable.
okay, and actually, instantly, he sent, or she sent, okay, her
Ooh.
presentation now. So let's watch her, okay? So if you want to, you can screenshot this scoring criteria. If you want to check yourself, okay, have a self-assessment on how you speak
Right.
and how others do oral communication. Okay, so let's listen. Here she.
Oh, it's not moving. Okay, here.
Good day, everyone. In this presentation, we'll look at the Philippine current state of lockdown, how communities have been affected, and what you can do is to keep your child's educations going. Since the beginning of 2020, the impacts of COVID 19 have been felt all over the world. But as vaccines are distributed globally, we're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. 1 year after the rigorous lockdown precautions were instituted, the Philippines began rolling out the vaccinations across the country in March. So over 1.7 million Filipinos have now received their first dosage of the vaccine, which is a fantastic symbol of hope following the country's terrible year. However, since the number of illnesses continues to climb, a new lockdown have been implemented. So in this session, we'll look at the current COVID-19 scenario in the Philippines, some success stories and bad consequences of lockdown, and how education have been impacted. Finally, we'll discuss ways to support your children or students who are enrolled in distance schooling. Thank you for watching. Keep safe.
Ooh, amazing! Wow, great.
Okay,
And
and
Sir Alvin, I think this was like it's like distinguishing between the first delivery that she had earlier and now her second
yes,
delivery.
that's
Ooh, I think
right.
our students right there on the comment section can spot on what are actually the things that she leveled up in this second video. It's
Right.
like
So
an
first is,
Itulay level up. Let's
okay,
try
we
to read
have
some.
Rafael Fates mentioned here that her facial expression and how she speaks is clear now. So that's
Right.
right. And even here, John Carlos says that verbal and nonverbal cues are in, and the speech is clear. Okay, so maybe Nancy, okay, is learning with you. So
Mm-hmm.
she was able then to apply, okay, the things we've discussed a while back about verbal and
Mm-hmm.
nonverbal communication.
That's right. Well, also here, a student, Tangerine Sayed, also said that she now memorized her speech, and Gretchen here says that she actually used hand gestures, and the message was expressed clearly, according to Kimberly. So I think this was a version 2.0, which means to say she was able to incorporate the nonverbal and the verbal communication here on the
Yeah,
second video.
so that's right. So let's give Manzi and even you as our participants,
Woo!
our students, so, um, because
Bravo!
of your suggestions a while back. Okay, she now learned okay what to do
Wow,
now.
that instant. Wow, she was able to submit a video on instant.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
great. So
So I
um, we're done. Okay, with the discussion part. So let us remember always that when you say oral communication, it is exchange of verbal messages with the employment of nonverbal cues, and it can be observed in a lot of situations, just like in role playing, declamation, formal speech, research defense, oration, spoken poetry, speech choir, TV and radio reporting, hosting, and many more. Okay, and to
A
the
lot
novel,
of
we also
activities.
discussed about
We have also discussed about verbal communication, which means to say it's actually communicating by words. So there should be appropriateness, there should also be brevity, clarity, ethics, and lastly, we it should have vividness. So the key
okay,
to our discussion today, Sir Alvin, the key takeaways is actually when you do oral communication, it should be a combination of both. It's like an
yeah,
ingredient of both. The secret ingredient to actually be an effective communicator is actually incorporating both the nonverbal and then the verbal communication. So nonverbal communication refers to the
speaking
behavior.
of actions, okay? Just like the
Yeah, the
kinesics, the body
kinesics.
movements, the attitude, the manner of dressing, the tone of voice. And I think Raphael noticed that. Okay, I just observed that in the first video she's not dressed well. And in the second video she's given
Oh,
a
great
complete
eye.
eye. Okay. So in as much as we want to give this
Yeah, too
creative
bad.
side, yeah,
Our time is over, Sir Alvin. But
yeah,
that's the essence of actually having just a slight overtime is that we were having fun, Sir Alvin. So I hope
right.
our students today, Sir Alvin, was able to enjoy our discussion today. And I think we should give credits to whom it is due. So thank you so much to your student, Sir Alvin. Her name again, I'm sorry, I did not catch
Okay,
that. Her name
Messi,
is
Messi, yeah.
Mezzy. Okay. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
anyway, about this game, we'll just be having it next week as we go along with our next session. So
All right.
yeah,
Oh, that's a Squid Game. They should stick around for our next
yeah.
discussion, Sir Alvin.
So congratulations everyone, and
Congratulations.
your weekly challenge. Okay, based on the insights gained from this session, what are the important traits and characteristics an effective oral communication must possess? So share your answers
Okay.
in your social media account or in Depth E2 Live Facebook group using the hashtags. All right. So E2 Live level up. So if there are some feedback, I think to the Nova, they can also give theirs, right?
Right, right. Your feedback matters. So we would love to hear your thoughts or feedback on how we can improve your experience. You can just scan the QR code or just simply copy that link there that Sir Alvin pasted on the screen. So you can do that. Just feel free to express what you wanted to express so that we can make your experience even better.
Okay, so please tune in again next week, same day and same time for another learning journey in oral communication. Again, this is Tutor Alvin.
And I am Tutor Nova. See you next Tuesday.
Okay. So be the best always in oral communication in context. Till then, happy learning. See you next week.